Today we're going to learn two knots, the fisherman knot and the polymer knot. Polymer knot. Two knots that are very common to catch fish. Stick around. So in this video, we're going to talk about two big knots. Very common. The basic common knots for the basic fishermen who are learning how to fish. And these knots are used by fishermen all over the place. All over. And these knots will help you catch fish. Because although you have your most important tool, the hook, you need to have some good knots to keep your hook attached to your line. If you use a weak knot, your knot could come undone, and there goes the fish. Goodbye. Adios. See ya. So let's talk about knots today. We're going to do two, the fisherman knot and the polymer knot. But before we dig in, there are two knots that you need to memorize. Very, very, very basic knots, because pretty much a lot of knots are dependent on this. The first is called the overhand knot. Now what you're going to do is set up your line just like this, coming from over here, and you're going to U it around to the top. Alright? Now, take this tag in. It's always the very end. And the tag end is going to go underneath your main line. And then you're going to wrap it around and go through the hole. And there. It kind of looks like a pretzel, but not. But this is your basic overhand knot. The tag is going over the hand of the main line and into the hole. Overhand knot. Boom. Now, if you need, watch that again in slow-mo. Just rewind. And watch it again and get it down. Now, the second knot is the figure eight, which is very, very close to the overhand. You're going to do the same thing. Set up your U with a tag on top. Now, you're going to go underneath your main line, just like this. And then, instead of going through the hole, you're going to go all the way around, pointing back up. And then underneath the hole and back up. Now look here. It kind of looks like a figure eight. And this is why we call it a figure eight. And once again, if you want to see that again, just rewind it and watch it again. Okay, now watch. You're going to see how both these knots are used a lot. And the main variation is how many times you're going to wrap your line around the main line over and over and over and over again. Here is your main fisherman knot without the hook. Watch. I got my U shape with the tag on top, and I'm going to go under. But instead of going through the hole for the overhand, I'm going to wrap it 1, 2 times. Now, if this line was thinner, I would go 3, 4, 5. If it was like a really small line, I go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, as much as you want. But when you have a bigger, thicker rope, you don't have to do so many. So we've gone around 1, 2, 3 times. And now we go through the hole, and now we pull. This is basically, what is that? That's basically a overhand knot, just with some extra wraparounds, right? Okay, now let's do this again. Now we're going to add the hook. The hook. We have our U shape, just like before, and the tag on top, and now we put our hook at the end. And just like before, we're going to put the tag underneath our main line, wrap it 1, 2, maybe even 3. If this was an actual fishing line, I'd go with 6 or 7, right? 6 or 7, and then the very end of the tag is going to go through that hole. And then we pull. Sometimes you get to adjust because it's got to be snug. It's got to be snug. Snug, shape, strong. Because if it's loose at all, when you start to pull and that fish pulls, the line begins to untangle and unravel, and there, goodbye fish, right? Then you take your scissors or your tool and you snip off the tag end. There's lots and lots of debate on how much tag end you're going to want to cut off. I leave just a little bit, just in case my line does give. My theory is that if the fish doesn't see the entire main line, He's not gonna see the itty bitty tag that's sticking off in the end. So I always leave just a little bit, just in case the knot does give a little. All right. Now, that is a fisherman's knot. Now, rewind it. Watch it again in slow-mo. Boom. Fisherman knot. Let's go to the second knot, a polymer knot. This one is pretty cool. It also uses the overhand. Now, with the slight difference of we're gonna go through the hook, but we're gonna come right back through the hook again. But don't go all the way, because if you go all the way, you're pulling the rope out, basically. You want it to be this double rope type of situation. See that? Yes. Okay, now you're going to use this double rope to recreate that U we had earlier. All right? Okay, now we make our overhand knot like we did before. We go underneath and through the hole. And there, that will do it. That's strong. That will hold. But to make it a little bit more strong, like it's impossible for this to unravel. In fact, you will more likely break the line or break your hook before you unravel this knot. It's one of the strongest knots that are out there. So wrap around, figure eight it, take this little loop right here, yep, and then go around the hook just like that, and then tighten. You might have to adjust it because it's a unique knot, but once you get in there, make it nice and tight, nice and strong, right? And then boom, you're ready to go. Cut off that tag in. Goodbye. Now, you need to watch this again. Make it happen. You're gonna learn. These are two knots that are huge, huge. I use both these knots all the time. All the time. So get practicing with some hooks and strings, whatever you can find. Start practicing, because when you're out in the water, you want change your hook real fast. You want get out there, catch that fish. So that's all for this video, guys. Boom! Hit that like button. Let me know you got value. And hey, everybody say bye, Pastor Juan.